to what degree does the heat need to be brought to DeMeco Ryans? Because I do think that there needs to be some heat. There's definitely a number of things that you can look at in the course of this game that the chief on-field decision maker of DeMeco Ryans has to answer for. But there was enough things, and enough things that have not just in an individual of this game, but that are fall in line of patterns that make me question just how good of a head coach is DeMeco Ryans. I think that there are a lot of people will come to a place where he's a good head coach. You've seen good things happen with this team. Obviously, the defense in particular looks incredible and has been since he has gotten here. But there's still some issues that continue to permeate that are beyond just every coach has their quirks.
Yeah, and I don't, I have not been copping out today or being wishy-washy about my feelings about the problems with his squad. So I don't want to sound that way.
Here we go.
Here
it is.
It's a yes and no question.
Okay.
Answer, I should say. Yes, there are absolutely some things that fall at his feet. 100%. Yeah, I feel like it ended up being a very good decision, but in one case, but his on-field decision-making in terms of down and distance, when to go, not go, is on him. To say, to tell the offensive coordinator, run the ball here, don't run the ball here, is on him. And that was very, obviously obvious in some situations when the Texans were facing this short yard. That's on him. There are some absolute things in terms of, personnel and some of the hires that were made, if you want to go beyond just yesterday's game and on field, that are on him. But I also feel like no, because I feel like he's been maybe too trusting of the general manager's influence in some of these things, going back to Nick Caley and Cole Popovich, and maybe too loyal, because you needed a boost on this offense, and you went with an unproven guy, and that maybe you were influenced by Nick Caserio, but ultimately it does fall on you. He claimed it, he flat out claimed it. I hired him, so it's almost like a yes and no. Yes, on field, a lot of stuff falls on DeMeco Ryans. Some of it maybe it was just too naive, too vulnerable, too easily influenced by the general manager.
And I think that those are like larger,
right.
bigger,
right.
headier kind of portions of it. And I don't think you're wrong. I think you don't even have to go that far. DeMeco Ryans was asked about not capitalizing in the red zone. And what's the common thread of just not taking advantage of opportunities?
Yeah, for us tonight, just overall, it was just sloppy. There was some positive things that we did, but it was just overshadowed by the negative things. Offensively, it was not good enough. It didn't move the ball good enough. We got to execute better. The main goal in this game was to control the front. We did not do that. Their front controlled us, and it wasn't good enough for us. So we have to find a way to get better there. We got to score points, right? So we got to find a way to get in the end zone, have multiple opportunities. I just didn't capitalize on those.
All right. Sloppy offense. Where have we heard that before except out of this man's mouth a few times before? And maybe you go, as the head coach, trusting of the offensive coordinator, that's not getting it done. Maybe you can give that a little bit of, leeway, even though 15 days, bye week, you've at least recently let Matt Burke call defense so you can move around and maybe have a little bit better quality control. I'm not seeing the quality control on offense, but maybe you can let that fly. Can you give me cut 6 here? Because this is DeMeco Ryans talking about the early critical penalties. Because this is the thing that gets me, is that this is a team that consistently still makes boneheaded decisions, and while it mitigates the great defensive play where they get themselves off the field, except here is a leveraging penalty on a field goal or a punt. Here is a big tackle on, or like a roughing penalty or something to that nature. This is DeMeco when he answers for the penalties here.
Penalties always affect, especially the critical moments. It's third down, they're at the end of the game. It's just silly penalties that we have to be a smart football team. We have to make smart decisions, and we didn't in critical times. And again, that's not winning football.
No, that is absolutely a larger thing. I think you can speak to Al-Shaair as well. We're sitting there going, of course it's him. I know I was. And he loves that guy, and he is a leader, and we've spoken with him, multiple times, and it's kind of hard not to understand, just how badass Al-Shaair is for this squad. But there's a line, man. There was a line, and the penalties were done there as well. And I think actually offensively as well, some of the decision making that was made to rotate the guards and bring in Berrios, that's the head coach.
Yeah, that doesn't happen without his.
That's where the head coach comes in and says, nah, man, no, we cannot do that. Our goal is, Seth tweeted this, and it made me laugh, but our goal is not to figure out who plays left guard by week 15. Our goal is to put the best 5 that we think are out there and run with them.
The teams that have the capability of having that luxury and doing that of we'll figure out what our best iteration of ourselves is in week 15 are teams like the Kansas City Chiefs that know they are good, that can do enough to get the wins in the meantime, and that have enough experience to know that we have the basics on autopilot. We have the basics to keep ourselves in games and largely win these. And so we will get these wins, and we'll figure out because we know we'll be playing in the postseason. This Texans team that come in, and you lost any semblance of maybe having that when you lost your first 3 football games, right? You could not operate in that way. So again, he is one of the places where the buck stops, especially with on-field things. And there was just way too many on-field things that we would typically go, the head coach is not doing his job. When it comes to, the quality control of, you want your guys to play sound football. There was a number of times where you have guys, making just ill-advised plays or ill-advised penalties that took you out of opportunities to go and win the game, or get off the field, and those types of things. And that keeps coming back to DeMeco Ryans, and that's not an oddity of this game. That happens frequently. The odd decisions that happen on the field. And then I don't even know what to do with this. If you can give me, and of course I can't find it, but I'll just summarize it. DeMeco Ryans talking about that kickoff, where honestly I was surprised that they did not onside kick in that moment as well.
Maybe
I got it. Yeah,
I was surprised they did not onside kick. However, they kicked the ball down the field, and they allow a return with the 2-minute warning bearing down. It's 2:04. You have 1 timeout left. And so the idea being, if you can give yourself a defense an opportunity to make a stop, you can get the ball back and go and score. I'll give any head coach, if that's your philosophy, especially looking at the way that this offense is played and this defense is played, maybe you can get better field position that way. I don't know. All right, fine. The idea that your kicker, well, actually, I'll let DeMeco Ryans, because they asked him, DeMeco, why did Kaimi Fairbairn the Seahawks to return it and basically get rid of one of your de facto timeouts, which is the 2-minute warning?
Yeah, the plan at the end of the game was kicking the ball out of bounds so we could utilize the 2-minute and had a timeout. And we did not execute that. Again, just goes to the entire game. So, frustrating that we're not executing the things that we're coached to do.
Yes, no, you're absolutely right. And maybe it was just Kaimi Fairbairn, a reliable guy, a reliable kicker, just had brain lock. Yeah, but at some point you have to double down on that. Kick the ball out of bounds. You have to have that done. So it's a bunch of little things that are adding up, in terms of like you said, the discussion that needs to be had about DeMeco Ryans. I still go back to this offense, to this offense. Even if you did trust Nick Caserio too much and you brought in guys that are just in way over their head like Nick Caley, even if you did do that, you can't let him run the ball the way he did in these crucial situations when you know it's not working. You're a defensive guy. You know what that defense looks like. You know what their defensive front looks like and what they're going to do. Just, on the headset say, hey, let's roll out, screen, whatever you want to do. Let's get the ball in so-and-so's hands, whether it was Nico Wino's on the field or Jalen Knowles having a good game or whatever, or Dalton Schultz. Let's do this. You have to do that as the head coach. Even if you're not an offensive guy, you have to do that.
And see, I still feel like that falls on the head coach because they weren't prepared. Mm-hmm. To me, I feel like they weren't prepared for that. Mm-hmm. And if you look on the other side of the ball, they more prepared because they was getting the ball out quick because they know who was on them edges. Yeah. So they were getting up to the line real quick.
Point. Yeah.
I mean, you got to give Sam Darnold a lot of credit, and you got to give McDonald, you got to give Kubiak a lot of credit because Sam Darnold in that pocket you could tell. I could read this as clear as day off of the screen that his objective, like that was given to him, was if it's not there, I'd rather you get rid of it earlier rather than late.
Yeah.
Yep.
There were some instances where the win was just happening on the edge for Will or Daniil, and he was like, "Nope, done with that one.
Yeah.
We'll live to fight another down."
It wasn't 1, 2, 3, 4. It was 1, 2. Let's go.
Yep.
Like, in terms of his reads.
And this is the thing that I keep fighting within myself is I believe DeMeco has a connection with these players. I think he is a personable football coach. But the thing that I cannot answer is why, with a guy that is so personable, that's so affable, that seems to care so deeply for his players, and that the players seem to react to him, why then do they get to the big moments with the swarm, the special work ethic and relentless mentality mantra?
Mm-hmm.
Do they then lose all of their, do they just lose the plot?
Yeah.
Like, why is it in these moments that they end up making boneheaded mistakes? Why is it in these moments where, the edict that's been put down from the head coach or from coaches not reaching? And it's too often, way too often, John Lopez, do I hear from DeMeco Ryans, well, the players aren't doing what they've been coached to do. If they're not doing it, there is a loss in translation.
Yeah.
I went to school, and one of the things in theory of communications is if the messenger is not or is the receptor is not receiving the message, it is the transmitter's issue. Like you need to make sure that your message gets to the right place.
That's on me.
And that is on the head coach. That is what I could keep looking at when I see a game and a team that is so damn sloppy. On the other side, they were giving you opportunities to try and stay in this football game, and you kept handing them back. And when you don't have margin, when the margins are so damn thin because your offense is not humming, or because, Jackson Smith and Jigba happens to just be cooking you, you need to have those, those margins, those things at the things on the outside that help you keep this close. And it seems like in those moments where you need the margins the most, they fail, and that falls on the head coach.
There's one more thing with DeMeco that I feel needs to be discussed, and it's been talked about. Not like I'm breaking news here, but I think last night illustrated. Are you sure you want to be death by 1,000 cuts? Are you sure that's the only way that because the whole thing with this offense is don't make mistakes. Don't make mistakes. Keep us down in distance that is agreeable, and that's the defensive-minded head coach mentality. That is DeMeco Ryans personified. Just don't be stupid. Don't make mistakes. Matriculate the ball down the field. Shout out to Hank Stram. That doesn't work all the time in the NFL. And I'll go back to the other thing. You got 4 turnovers. You got a defensive touchdown. And your philosophy as a defensive-minded head coach still didn't work. Maybe DeMeco needs to rethink. And I think it also he needs to rethink it in terms of what's best for our franchise quarterback. He's playing the game kind of with one hand tied behind his back because of that philosophy and approach.
I mean, it's a long week, and offensively, there's been issues, but the little things are slipping through the cracks, and they have been. This isn't just a this year issue. There's a lot of moments where the little things slip through the cracks in the biggest moments, and outside of getting your offense right, which is a crazy thing to sidestep because it's huge. It's a huge issue for this Texans team. Clearly, you need to get those types of things in check, and it's kind of amazing to me that those things keep falling through the cracks with a coach that I would generally, respond to, is he a good coach? As yes.
No, of course.
And a game like this, it's frustrating on so many different levels because, again, you talked about the general manager, and it's clearly there. We've talked about the offense coordinator. We've talked about the head coach. All of them have failures that show up in this game, and you're just not going to get to where you want to be like that.
Yeah, and when it comes to like the approach, the ultra uber safe approach of just 2nd and 7 is fine, and don't make mistakes and all that. That is a DeMeco thing. I mean, you can talk all you want about Patriot system, and I have, about John Carroll, and I have, and about the guys that are in over their head, and they are. But the philosophy, the offensive approach that didn't work when you got 4 turnovers, that's DeMeco. He wants to be uber safe, with this offense.
I mean, he kind of seen it the last couple, even with Bobby Slowick.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a question that I don't feel like
it's why Bobby Slowick got fired, by the way. All the negative plays.
A question that is natural rolling off of that is, at what point do you have to consider whether or not this is the right circumstance for DeMeco Ryans as well? Which I don't know what the right answer to it is, but a game like that where you can look at a lot of different facets where your head coach, even your head coach, has things that come back to him as not just anomalies here and there, but happen enough and with enough frequency that's a trend, right? And offense coordinator, which again falls to him, is clearly out of his depth, and you're not able to put up a game plan that makes sense. You're reverting the things that we know don't work in a game where you need to have it coming off of or with enough time to plan. Like, there are real questions as to, like, damn it, how much do you want this job, DeMeco Ryans?
I don't think he's at the top of the list.
He's not.
Yeah.
He's not. But I don't want to ignore him either because that was a part of this.
Yeah.
That was a part of this game.
No, I don't think he's at the top of the list. I think you talk about serious discussions. They need to have some serious discussions about the general manager. They really do. And the general manager needs to have some serious...
This week? You mean like the
whenever
McNairs
it
need
is,
to have
whether it's this week or soon, the writing is on the wall that his approach has not happened. So he'd be at the top of the list. Maybe, obviously, you go down from there, offensive coordinator, et cetera, personnel people and all that. But DeMeco, he's in there. He's in there at some point if it continues.